The departure board flickered once, then went still. That's when the airline agent looked up at me and said, softly, "Ma'am, your ticket was canceled." I laughed at first. A reflex. The kind you do when the truth feels too sharp to touch. I checked my phone, no notifications, no missed calls. Just the faint hum of the terminal and the echo of boarding announcements for a flight my parents were already on. "My name is Hannah Whitmore. I'm 29. I stood there with my carry-on handle digging into my palm, watching families rush past, coats half-zipped, kids dragging stuffed animals. I texted my mom. Then my dad. Nothing. Their seats had been upgraded, the agent told me, almost apologetically. Only 2 tickets transferred. Mine didn't make the cut. Through the glass wall, I saw the plane pull back. I searched the windows like an idiot, hoping one of them would look down. Wave. Hesitate. Anything. They didn't. I sat on the cold airport floor because the bench was full, knees pulled in, coat folded wrong. There was a coffee stain on my sleeve I couldn't remember making. A small, stupid detail, but it stuck with me. Proof I was really there. That night, after I finally got home, my phone buzzed. A message from my older sister, Lily. "You should be used to being left out by now." I stared at it for a long time. The blinking cursor felt louder than the airport ever did. I typed back slowly, carefully. "Don't worry. This new year will change everything." I set my phone face down and listened to the radiator click and hiss, like it was counting down with me. Somewhere over the Atlantic, my family was drinking champagne. They had no idea what they'd just left behind. The apartment felt too quiet without the buzz of holiday group chats. No photos of airports. No selfies clinking glasses. I muted the family thread and opened my laptop instead, the hinge squeaking because I still hadn't fixed it. Another small imperfection. Another thing I kept putting off. I didn't sleep much. Around 3 a.m., snow started falling outside my window, thin and careful, like it didn't want to disturb anyone. I watched it while replaying the airport over and over, the agent's pause, the way my dad must have known, the way my mom always avoided eye contact when she agreed with him. This wasn't new. It never was. Growing up, Lily got piano lessons. I got told to keep the house quiet. Lily's college was an investment. Mine was a phase. When money got tight, my name was the first one erased. They called it practicality. I learned to call it what it was. The morning after New Year's Eve, I opened my email. One subject line sat unread, flagged weeks ago because I'd been scared to open it. Confirmation of authority transfer. My grandmother's lawyer had warned me it would go through while they were away. She'd trusted me, quietly, privately, to handle things she never trusted my parents with. The house trust. The small portfolio she built dollar by dollar. The signatures had finalized at midnight. I didn't smile. I just breathed. My phone buzzed again. A photo from Lily, bare feet on white hotel sheets, a caption underneath. Best trip ever. I replied with nothing. No words. Just silence. Outside, the snow thickened, covering old footprints until the ground looked untouched. Clean. New. And for the first time, being left behind didn't feel like abandonment. It felt like room to move. They came back loud. Suitcases thumped against the apartment door upstairs, voices overlapping, laughter echoing down the hallway like they owned the space again. I stood at my kitchen counter peeling an orange too fast, tearing the skin instead of easing it off. Juice dripped onto the cutting board. Sticky. Messy. Human. My phone lit up, Mom this time. We're home. Why didn't you answer? I waited until my hands stopped shaking before replying. Busy. Hope you had a good trip. An hour later, the first alert hit. Not mine. Theirs. I heard my dad's voice through the ceiling, sharp, confused. Then Lily's laugh cut off mid-sentence. Doors opened. Closed. Footsteps paced. Phones buzzed again, and again like trapped insects. I checked my email calmly. 3 confirmations. 2 banks. 1 property management firm. Everything exactly where it should be. Another buzz. A call this time. Dad. I let it ring. Growing up, he used silence like punishment. Weeks without speaking if I questioned him. Nights eating alone because I needed to think about my attitude. I learned early how quiet could bruise. Now I was using it back. The radiator clicked behind me, uneven, off rhythm. I counted the seconds between sounds while my phone vibrated itself still. Finally, a text from Lily. What did you do? Our accounts are frozen. I typed, erased, typed again. Nothing. I just followed instructions. There was a knock at my door, too hard, too fast. I didn't open it. I stood on the other side, forehead against the wood, breathing in the faint smell of pine cleaner. Dad shouted my name like he used to when I was late for school. Only this time, I wasn't late. I was exactly on time. And somewhere between the second knock and the third, I realized something quietly terrifying. They finally needed me. The knocking stopped. Not because they calmed down, but because my mother's voice slid in, soft and careful, the way she used to speak to waiters when food was late. Hannah, sweetheart, we just want to talk. I leaned against the door, shoes still on, coat half-zipped. I hadn't planned that. My keys were in my hand, like I might leave again. Old habits don't die. They just wait. I sent you messages, Dad said, louder now. This isn't funny. Funny. The words scraped. I unlocked the door, but didn't open it all the way. Just enough to see them standing there, travel-worn, eyes bright with panic they hadn't learned to hide yet. Lily's mascara was smudged. My mother's necklace was twisted backward. Dad held up his phone. Our accounts. The house. Everything says restricted. I nodded slowly. That makes sense. My mom frowned. What do you mean? I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded letter, creased so many times it felt soft. My grandmother's handwriting slanted across the page, uneven, stubborn, real. I held it up, but didn't give it to them. She didn't trust you, I said. Not loudly. Not angrily. She trusted me. Lily scoffed, but it cracked halfway through. This is a joke. I met her eyes. You should be used to that feeling by now. Silence fell heavy. No one laughed. No one moved. Dad's face hardened, like it always did when control slipped. You think this gives you power? I thought of the airport. The canceled ticket. The way no one turned around. No, I said. It gives me boundaries. I closed the door gently. No slam. No drama. On the other side, voices rose again. Blurred, desperate, suddenly small. Inside, I slid down to the floor, heart pounding, palms damp. The radiator hissed once, then settled. For the first time, the silence wasn't punishment. It was peace I'd earned. I stayed on the floor longer than I meant to, back against the door, listening to their voices fade down the hallway. My legs tingled when I finally stood. I'd forgotten how heavy adrenaline feels once it has nowhere to go. By morning, the messages started again. Emails this time. Formal. Polite. My mother's favorite tone when she wanted something without admitting it. Subject lines like confusion about accounts and let's clear this up. I read them while buttering toast too cold to spread properly, tearing the bread in half. Another imperfect detail. Another reminder I was still real. At 10, the lawyer called. They've reached out, he said carefully, demanding explanations. I smiled at the steam rising from my mug. And they don't have standing anymore. That word sat between us, solid and unmovable. Downstairs, I heard Lily crying. Not the dramatic kind. The quiet, hiccuping sobs she used to save for when no one was watching. For a second, my hand hovered over my phone. Then I remembered the airport. The glass. The way they didn't look back. I drafted one message. Read it twice. Sent it. Any communication goes through my attorney now. Please respect that. Outside, snowmelt dripped from the roof in slow, steady taps. Winter loosening its grip. Change never announces itself loudly. Sometimes it just refuses to move back. They didn't respect it. By noon, Dad was calling from a block number. 3 times. Then 5. Each ring felt like an old reflex trying to wake up inside me. I let the phone vibrate on the counter while I folded laundry, mismatching socks because I never bothered to sort them properly. I wondered, briefly, if he could hear the silence on his end the way I once had. The building manager emailed me next. Your parents are requesting access to storage and documents. I replied with one sentence and an attachment. All permissions have been updated. Please see attached. The reply came fast. Understood. That was new. Being understood without argument. In the afternoon, Lily finally texted again. No sarcasm this time. We're family. You can't just shut us out. I stared at the words until they blurred. Family had always been their shield. Something they raised whenever I asked for fairness. I typed back slowly. Family doesn't leave someone stranded and call it normal. No reply. At dusk, I stepped outside. The air smelled like wet pavement and thawing earth. Somewhere nearby, a car alarm chirped once and stopped. Life moving on, indifferent. Back inside, I locked the door, not out of fear, but choice. The click sounded final. I didn't feel powerful. I felt steady. And for the first time, that was enough. The fallout didn't explode the way movies promise. It thinned. Accounts stayed frozen. Meetings got canceled. Invitations stopped coming. My parents moved through the building like ghosts, quiet, careful, suddenly aware of walls they'd never noticed before. One evening, I found an envelope slid under my door. No return address. My mother's handwriting anyway, round letters trying to look calm. Inside was a single photo. Me at 10, missing my front tooth, holding my grandmother's hand. On the back, written faintly, we didn't know how to fix it. I sat at the table a long time with that photo. The radiator clicked. My tea went cold. I noticed a small tear in the corner of the picture, like it had been folded too many times. Not knowing how to fix it never stopped them from breaking it. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded one last document to the lawyer, finalizing the sale of the lake house they'd always called theirs. My grandmother used to say, water tells the truth. It reflects what you bring to it. The confirmation email came back 20 minutes later. Sold. Down the hall, a door slammed. Someone shouted my name once. Then nothing. I placed the photo face down in a drawer, not out of anger, but preservation. Some things don't need to be destroyed to be put away. That night, for the first time, I slept without setting an alarm. Morning could wait. The alerts hit while they were still asleep. Not dramatic alarms, just quiet, relentless notifications. Property sale confirmations. Account reallocations. Legal notices delivered automatically, without tone or mercy. Systems doing exactly what they were designed to do. By the time I woke, my phone was already lighting up. Missed calls stacked like a tower I didn't bother knocking over. I made coffee instead, spilling a little grounds on the counter and brushing them into my palm. I didn't clean it right away. At 9, my father knocked. Not hard. Not angry. Tired. I opened the door fully this time. He looked smaller, like something had finally settled on his shoulders. Behind him, my mother stood rigid, hands folded too tightly. Lily wasn't there. The lake house, Dad said. His voice cracked on the word. That was supposed to be ours. I shook my head gently. It was never yours. Mom opened her mouth, then closed it. No defense left. Just air. I didn't take anything from you, I said. I stopped giving you what you never earned. Dad swallowed. We raised you. I nodded. And I survived you. Silence stretched. Not hostile. Final. I stepped back and closed the door. Not as a statement, but a boundary. The click echoed softly, like punctuation at the end of a sentence that had gone on too long. Later that day, I transferred the last of the proceeds into the foundation my grandmother and I had planned, scholarships for kids who were always told to wait their turn. Outside, the snow finally melted completely. Bare pavement. New marks forming. If this ever happened to you, say same in the comments.